Hi, everyone, and thanks for joining this session today. My name is Sherry List. I am the co-founder and CEO of a startup called SyntheticAI Data. And today we are going to have a quick overview about what synthetic data is, and then how you can enhance your AI model by using synthetic data, and also how our platform that we develop at Synthetic AI Data is going to help you to generate your own synthetic data. So, if I can use it. Synthetic data is, we are a startup based in Copenhagen, and then we are part of Microsoft for a Startup program, as well as NVIDIA Inception program, which is a startup program from NVIDIA. We got a grant from Innovation Fund Denmark, and we've been recognized by Nordic Innovation as one of the startups in the Nordics with a focus on ethical AI. And we have been added to the ethical AI database as well. So the synthetic data that today I'm going to talk about, it is the one that it is connected to the computer vision. And I'm pretty sure that you all here, you don't need to have an introduction to the computer vision, but it's a field of AI that that actually trains the computer to have an understanding about the visual world. And it's a technology that's been actually touched all of our lives. If you ever unlock your phone, your laptop with a kind of that, with your face recognition, it's computer vision. Or if you're just like me, every time that you see a new plant or a new picture, you take a new bird, you take a picture, use a Google or Bing, try to identify that, that's a computer vision. But it is not only touches our personal life, it actually has a strong footprint across industry. And there are a lot of use cases from computer vision in each industry, from, for example, from the factory line, that a computer vision, there are a lot of use cases that it actually monitor the assembly line to find any sort of defect. It's been used through the tracking the asset across the factory, or also definitely for kind of that for the security and the worker protection. And in smart cities, as Ben actually mentioned, that there are a lot of use cases from that. One of them that I particularly really like, I don't know, that was like a year and a half ago, there was a very viral video on Instagram, YouTube, everywhere. There was a picture of a traffic light somewhere in a city in Asia that it refuses to go green as long as there is a motorbike in the crowd without a kind of that the driver didn't have a helmet. And what it does, actually there is a monitor there that it focuses on the actual person's face. And so kind of that put the person in the pressure to either put the helmet on or go out of the out of the street. Then it will go green. Yeah, there are various ways of actually using that, but one of the other use cases, as Ben also mentioned, that in all the kind of that preventive maintenance, that's actually the area that it can bring a lot of value. You don't want to wait things to not work, and then you kind of that you try to find a solution for it. And for the retail industry also, that I'm pretty sure by now many of you been actually use any of those cashierless shops. For example, in the Kastrup airport, if you've ever been to the Amazon Green shops, or for example, recently I've been to London to kind of that to one of the Zara shop that was 100% cashier free, and it was a fantastic experience of kind of that checking out from there. And as well as there are a lot of other scenarios there that it enhances the shopping experience for the customers. Environmental place is also an area that definitely computer vision is been using a lot, from sorting and handling the kind of crops and fruits, and then towards towards the biodiversity that we were also discussing, that you can use it through the kind of that track of endangered animal, and also trying to find out that if there is a particular, for example, fish that was not supposed to be actually in this area. So it was like an invasive part. So you can use it in many sort of scenarios. And it's all been done by computer vision. So there are computer vision is able to perform many tasks, but the most used task is these three tasks here: image classification, object detection, and image segmentation. So the classification is definitely to kind of that describe that what is actually, what do we see here? Describe that what is in the picture. When we go to the object detection, definitely it tells us that the position of a specific object that we are looking for. So that it means that it comes with the coordination of the image as well. If we move on to the image segmentation, that's the area that we can actually turn a picture into multiple different segments and have and analyze the specific part of that. That one specifically can be used when we are connecting it to the, for example, robotic industry as well. If you want the robot to be able to put a tool in a specific position, and you can then judge it that if we actually put it there right. And in order to do that, we need to train the model. And the training model, it starts with the collecting data. Once you have enough of data that you wanted, then you are going to annotate it, meaning that, for example, if you want to see where the hammer is, you need to say that, okay, this is hammer, this is hammer, this is hammer. One by one, you go through that. And once you have that annotated data, then you are using some algorithm or some cloud solutions to train your model. And then you're going to test your model. Then you find that, aha, I need more data. Then you come back again because you forgot to, for example, have the hammer next to another wrench that look like a hammer as well. So you need to actually have some of those scenarios as well, and annotate it and train it again. So it's a vicious circle that it can go on forever. And it's hard. It's hard because you normally don't have enough of data. And the scenario about the hammer is a simple solution, actually. But when you want to talk about that, for example, endangered animal under the water, with the water that maybe it's not very clear. So you need to literally send a person there to take a lot of pictures. Or, of course, there are some cameras there that you could actually use those as well. But it might take a lot of time. And so apart from the time consuming, it's also a process which is very labor intensive, because you need a person go and say that this is the hammer, this is the hammer. And we are human, we often make mistakes. We all know that. But here, that mistake directly is going to impact the quality, the accuracy of our training model. And in this competitive world, we really need the data to be, to our model to be accurate. And that's where synthetic data comes in place. So synthetic data is data that is being generated by the computer, by some algorithms. And it's an alternative to real world, meaning that, for example, if you look at this picture, this is not a real picture. This is actually a synthetic picture that is out there. So it means that it very much looks like the real data. And it also is annotated. So you don't need, because it's been generated by the computer. We know the position of the place, the objects, so we can easily just have that annotation data as well. And the good news is that we can have as many objects as we want in the picture, because again, we are in control. And it's important to actually mention here that synthetic data is not generative AI. So Generative AI is also, of course, generated by the computer algorithm, but it doesn't necessarily have the kind of the real world representation, meaning that I can get the computer to generate a new animal for me, which is a dog, but also a cat, and look like a frog, but also can fly. And it will generate it for me. Very beautiful picture. But it is not, again, the real world representation. It is more like a fantasy. And the other thing is that it doesn't need to come, well, it doesn't actually come with an annotation, with the position of the picture as well. But later on, I'm going to tell you that how you can actually use the generative AI to enhance your synthetic data, because this technology together is actually very powerful. And synthetic data is the future of AI, and it's not me that I'm telling that. Gartner said that by 2030, most of the data fueled the kind of that AI will be artificially generated. And you literally won't be able to have an accurate model without using the synthetic data. And there where we shine. So we have a platform that actually allows you to generate your synthetic data in order to train your visual AI model. How it works? So you are going to set up your environment. There will be some actually screenshots, some video of our platform that you can see. But you set up your environment. You can have your environment either in the digital twin, or you can have it 360 environment. You position the set as you really want it, and have all of the kind of that. You make sure that the lighting is right. You make sure that there is for example, that if it's an outdoor area, how the weather is going to be. If it's underwater, how the water is going to be clear. You can tweak all of those scenes and then click a button to generate the data. Once you have the data, then in our platform, we have various different connections. You can either download the data as you want it in the format that you want, or you can connect it to, for example, Azure Custom Vision or AWS and so on. And then you train the model. And if you want more data, you just tweak your environment again, and you generate 10,000 more pictures. And then in that way, you solve your problem. And as I mentioned here, that you can have unlimited data, because one of the factors is that when you can see here in this video that each second you can actually turn that into a picture. So you can have picture from your object from various different angles. So there is literally no limit for generating the data. And you can see they are perfectly annotated, not only object detection, creating those segmentation, is actually so time consuming. And as I told you that we have integration, first of all, you are in charge of your data. We are not storing your data. You either download it as you want to, or you are just connecting to the area that you want. We don't save those data. But then we have integration with Azure Custom Vision, with AWS Edge Impulse, RoboFlow, and NVIDIA Omniverse. And our application is actually very easy to use. It's a no-code solution, and we specifically design it to empower everyone that without even having a technical background, be able to generate this data that we want. Because we believe that nowadays the teams, we call them fusion teams, that it consists of people with a technical background and not technical background, and everybody should be able to have some part of this. That brings some value to the team. And speaking of the privacy, synthetic data is actually, one of the good side effects of it is that there is no issue with the GDPR, right, because this data is not real. And then it also enables you to have a diverse set of data. So you can have, because the customers, when they, in this retail example, when the customers come to the shops, they could be very different. They could have different heights. They could actually have a different outfit. They could have various different kind of that skin colors and so on. And then you can actually use synthetic data to diversify your actually that all of your what do you call it, that those data that you are creating. And here is one example that how it's been used, for example, in the agriculture. So in this use case, what we did is that we wanted to make sure that we can actually find rotten fruit. Okay, yes. So we wanted to actually have the to detect the rotten fruit. So what we could do is that we could just simulate that in our application, and then based on that we could take a lot of various different pictures, and then that rotten part we could just make sure, because we know that the rotten tangerines look very different, so we could actually generate various different types of rotten tangerine and then use it in the application. And then here it is that an example that how you could use generative AI to enhance your data, because with the the video doesn't flow. So for whatever reason, that's fine. But you could actually use the generative AI to actually to have a various different pattern on the hat. It could be black, it could be flora, it could be whatever. Or if you're using a hand, you could generate it to have various different jewelries there or tattoo, so you enhance your data. But here is another example that I really want to talk about. Anybody knows that? What is this? Yes, that's a landmine. So it's a specific type of landmine called butterfly. And Russia currently is actually using it a lot in Ukraine. And the way that it does is that when the airplane fly over, then they drop a lot of this landmine. Just like a butterfly, it's actually they come slowly down, and they can actually land anywhere. Could land on a various different types of vegetations, various different places. And then unfortunately, right now, it's 30% of the kind of that the whole Ukraine is impacted by the war, which is literally 4 times Denmark. And with this pace, if they want to clean the area, it's going to take 750 years. So there is a non-profit organization called DMine Foundation that they are using. They're using drones to identify and kind of collect those landmines. So what we did is that we helped them to use our platform to generate kind of enough of data set to detect these landmines. And then the tricky part, of course, for them was that because those landmines, they come either in green or they kind of some sort of a grayish, so you could actually go between the leaves and so on. So we could actually generate like 10,000 images for them. And after actually this collaboration, they actually increased the 20% accuracy in their kind of in their AI model, and the important part was that 50% false positive. So we really hope that actually our collaboration ended up really saving some people's life. And this is actually the kind of a good example that how AI can actually do something very good. And yeah, that was what actually I had today. Thank you for listening. So, any questions?
Thank you so much. That was amazing, especially ending on an example like that where it can really help save some lives. Do any of you have some questions that are inspired by this talk? Yeah, we have one down here.
Thank you very much. It's very inspiring. So one question is related to the legality or sort of the liability of your data. If you train a model and accidents happen and you are using synthetic data, what is the status of the model in that regard? And does synthetic data count the same in terms of liability?
That's a very good question. So first of all is that we literally, our customers knows they're setting the best. For example, we can never go to there is one area that SyntheticAI used a lot is in medical industry, in actually that to scanning the what you call it, that the CT scans to detect something, the anomaly in that. So we never, as SyntheticAI data, we never go and say that we are expert, and then we know that how the data should be. So we are helping our customers to create the kind of that what you call it, that the environment that they want to generate the data. And we are not training the model. So they are training their own model. So what we do here is we're just helping our customers to actually accelerate their generation of AI model. So we also don't have like like the Ben mentioned, that we don't have an API that we claim that we have the best mind detection, call this API and do it. We just find out where the pain for customer is and then try consult with them and then try to help them to accelerate their kind of that have the find those gaps in the data that they have so they can increase the AI model.
Thank you. And we'll take a question from over here.
I just wanted to know how you test for bias. You said that your data is unbiased. That's a big statement because data itself is biased.
Yes.
So I'm curious how you combat this.
Yeah. Actually, I didn't say that our data is unbiased. I said that synthetic data is enable you to come up with a reduced bias in the data set. And the reason for that is that, for example, I didn't put that example here. There was a very simple example, was that you could find out that whether that is a turtle who is swimming or it was a penguin who was swimming. And then there was an article about that, and there was a data set that they downloaded from Kaggle of the penguins, and then the data set that is for the turtles. And we used the kind of that the data. By the beginning, it was actually the accuracy was very low when it was swimming. When it's standing, of course, everybody, even I can see it, but when it is kind of that swimming, even my eyes cannot see it from any angle if it is a penguin or it's a turtle. But then the problem is that when we say penguin, normally people only think about the king penguins. So when you are looking for the data which is out there, it is only a specific type of penguin that you can find. I mean, this is a very simple example. But with the synthetic data, then you have enough of time and you have enough of resources to make sure when you say that you claim that I can detect a penguin, then it should be all penguins that you'll be able to detecting. And then the synthetic data is, as I just said, that is just a side effect of that, is that you can create enough of diverse data. So we are not selling data. So we are just enable you to actually to use the platform to make sure the data that you feed to AI model is diverse enough to reduce the bias.
We'll take a question or two from online.
Yes, I hope I can put them in the right way. So this is also how to make sure that the synthetic data you generate is of high relevance. It's mean to real environment or other conditions. And the person is also interested in non-imaging data like text and audio.
Yeah, unfortunately, we only work with the image data because going through the audio and other kind of tabular data, it requires totally different engine for generating the data. Hopefully one day we can do it, but today it's only the image. And the other question was about that, how we can ensure the quality of the output. So we are using 3D models. So the 3D models normally they are of course that when you feed in, you have to make sure that you have the right 3D models. But in the environment also you have option to set it up. We talk to many customers, many companies to find out that what is the requirement to setting up the environment, and then we added that. For example, we have features such as that different lighting. We can have the features that it adds the reflection of the sun. Reflection, it detects the shadow of the different object in the setting. So from what we saw in different applications out there, because of course we are not the only one in the world that we create such a thing. So, and also what our customers are saying, that our quality is quite high. And it's because of the engine that we have, and it's because of the way that we made a decision that we want to make sure that we have a fully functional digital twin environment in our application.
Thank you so much. I think that's all the questions that we're going to have time for today. I just want to end on a big thank you to both speakers. Let's give them a round of applause.